Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to another video of Man Plays Incel Game and Rambles About. So for this video, we're gonna have a more general topic of just something that's been on my mind a lot, which is the economy. I know I've already done a video about, Man Plays Incel Game and Rambles About the economy, but that was more focused on a small scale. So in that video, which go check it out if you haven't watched it, because I think it's a good one. It's based on a personal experience of what I saw in my workplace. And so I turned on my volume. So that was absolutely the economy as well. But I specifically, well, I was specific with that video, is what I mean to say, is that, like, that video I talked about, this is what I'm seeing in my specific workplace. These are the price increases, and no accompanying, wage increases in my specific workplace that I'm seeing firsthand, which is important to document and talk about. But in that video, I didn't really talk about the larger economy at play. And that's something that's been on my mind a lot recently. Just sort of with the presidential elections, and also the way the stock market's been going. Just sort of generally, a fact about me is that my goal in life is to own a house eventually. That's I feel like that in decades past would have been a pretty, achievable goal. But at the point where I'm at as a part of Gen Z, seeing where seeing how that fared for millennials, and even like my cousins and extended family that are millennials that I'm also seeing firsthand, is like they don't have houses either. They're either still renting or still living with their parents, which is absolutely not their fault. It's just a fault of the economy. It's making me a little bit worried because it's always been a goal that I've had and that I felt was achievable. I don't plan on having kids, at least right now. I'm 18 years old. For context, it's 2024. I'm about to go to college. And I don't plan on having kids. I don't plan on needing a huge house. It would ideally just be me and potentially a partner. Well, ideally a partner. I don't need that big of a house. It doesn't need to be in, like, suburbia. It doesn't need to be a McMansion. Like, it can just be sort of in the middle of nowhere. Or I guess not. Like, I don't want it to be in suburbia. That's not. It doesn't need to be in suburbia. It's I don't want it to be there. I'd prefer for it to be just sort of like off, sort of out on its own, or alternatively in some neighborhood that has like a a shopping center nearby, but without being in like a town center type thing. So like you'd be able to like walk or bike to the nearest supermarket, which I have a good friend that lives in a neighborhood like that, and it's awesome. Um, um, I didn't mean to do that. Um, versus or alternatively, the neighborhood that I live in is sort of isolated, so it's like a 10-15 minute drive to the nearest place to buy things. There's absolutely nothing within walking distance, but it's a very isolated neighborhood and is nice to walk around in. Like, we have a nice yard type thing, and I think those both have their benefits. I'm umming a lot. It's been a bit since I've done a video like this. I just recently uploaded all of my past ones, and I was like rewatching some of them, and I was like, oh wait, I actually like listening to myself talk a lot. I think other people would like listening to me talk, so now I just want to film another one because I want to talk. Oh yeesh, I didn't mean to hit that either. It's also been a minute since I've played. it really hasn't. It's been a minute since I've played and done something at the same time. Um, anyway, so I've always wanted just a small house, and like recently I've been thinking up exactly what I would ideally want, just a small house with a front porch, or even like a covered deck. I really like the concept of just being able to sit in like a covered or shaded area while being outside, and like being able to watch a storm off a front porch would be ideal, you know? Just something I've always wanted, which is something that my house doesn't have, but what are you gonna do? My house right now being my parents' house. I would like a house of my own, you know? Anyway, but as I look at the economy, the way that things are trending, and just generally the state of affairs, I'm not feeling super confident in like the potential. I don't feel like I'd be able to buy a house ever, really. So I'm going to college soon. I plan to major in computer science because it's been something that I've been interested in for essentially my entire life, and it's something that makes a lot of money. There's a lot of things I've been interested in for a long time. There's a lot of things I'd like to do, but computer science is the one that makes a lot of money, so that's the one that I'm choosing to pursue. But even at that, I feel like I'm just hearing from a lot of people that it's generally just not really possible to live in the current economy. That like I've been watching a lot of like finance YouTube videos, because another thing about me is I always like to be prepared to the best of my ability. I always like to be prepared to the best of my ability. I like to sort of like preemptively like I'll research finance now so that as soon as I am financially independent, because right now I am living at my parents' house, I'm still very financially dependent on my parents. I'm trying to learn what I can while I have the extra time, so that as soon as I am financially independent, I will be able to, use this knowledge and make good decisions right off the bat to sort of like minimize potential she's dead, yes, to sort of just minimize the mistakes I'm gonna make, because in this current economy I feel like there isn't a lot of room for error. If I'm being honest, it feels like everyone's just sort of getting by paycheck to paycheck, and that used to be the case because people were living way above their means, but it's gotten to a point where it's just like these are just normal people. They're making about the best financial decisions that they can make, but when rent is that expensive, which I don't know what a reasonable number for rent is. I don't rent, but people are saying that like I'm watching these finance videos and they can go one of two ways, and they'll either say here's exactly how to budget everything, or here's why it's not really possible to have a great budget, or why it's really, really difficult to have a great budget. And for the later one, people usually respond in the comments like, yes, this is absolutely true. I'm happy that you're pointing that out. And for the former ones, where they say this is how to do it, you just need to like budget and make a plan and everything. A lot of people in the comments will say, but these aren't reasonable numbers though. Like you're playing with numbers of someone that makes a lot of money and has relatively few or like not expensive things like rent, bills, etc. So I don't actually know what the like great number is, but people say that rent is greater than 50% of their income, which is absurd and impossible to like live with. And again, I'm not experiencing this firsthand. It's not Like, I usually like to talk about things that I have seen or experienced firsthand, but this is more just a general throwing out to the void that I'm feeling a little bit worried, because when people are saying this, of course, I don't have a way of telling if they're, like, if that's actually the case, if they're going to be at a job that makes a lot less money than me, etc. I don't know. But I it does make me worry, and it makes me want to prepare, like, again, just sort of preemptively learn everything that I can about finance so I don't make mistakes right off the bat. And I'm investing in the stock market. I've put a considerable amount of my money into the stock market, because the only thing that I feel like I can really bet on right now is that the big businesses will prioritize themselves, and then therefore their stock price will go up. If I'm not going to be getting, like, if I'm not going to be getting fairly compensated because they're putting their own interests ahead of their employees, then at least their stock price is going to go up. And if their stock price goes up, I'm going to make it so that I also profit off of that, so that I can sort of, I don't quite want to say game the system, like this is a very huge part of the system. It's not like I've unlocked some, like, secret thing. But I do feel a little bit like, I don't think that, like, my parents were this worried about, like, the future of the economy and if they're going to be out of job. If you watched my AI video, where even though I'm going into computer science, I mean, in my AI video I talked about how I'm not super convinced that AI is going to take over jobs, and if it does, it won't be effective. But I want to go into computer science. But in high school, I took a computer science class in this past year. And in that computer science class, the website, between, like, the summer before, or, like, between the last school year and this school year, the website that the school has used for a couple years, updated and added an AI function where you can put a plain text prompt into, the coding website, and it'll just output AI generated code that satisfies the prompt. And I still did everything by hand because I want to go into computer science. This is something I know I'm going to need to learn eventually, so I might as well get it out of the way, I guess. But it's making me wonder if it's going to be necessary. It's making me wonder if I am going to be necessary. And if I go to college and get a degree in computer science, it doesn't matter how good my financial skills are if I'm not going to be making any money because I'm going to have no job. You know what I'm saying? And I'm getting all the dragons. We are not. Oh well. Anyway, but so it's like I am over preparing for this, like, assuming that I'm not going to make enough money to live in the economy, but also there's this underlying fear that, like, I'm not even going to have a job to be able to budget that money. Like, I'm not going to have any money to budget. And I feel like that's even worse. And the one thing that I can trust is that companies are going to prioritize their own interests over the interests of the people, that, like, the people in power are just going to be greedy, and I can rely on that, so I can rely on the stock market. But then if you go back to my Staples economy video, where, just quick summary, is Staples is raising their prices a lot and losing a lot of customers in the process, which is just kind of sabotaging their business. And Staples isn't a public company, so it's not like it's negatively affecting the stock market in particular. But, like, I see a huge company like Staples doing something like that, and that's the only company that I personally have like a lot of, I don't want to say like inside knowledge on, but like firsthand knowledge, I guess, on. I I see that they're doing things like that, and I see that other companies or other like big retail stores are also raising prices when no one can afford these higher prices, and then they're losing customers because no one can afford this. It feels like it's just like a vicious cycle where no one wins, because all of a sudden the prices are, not all of a sudden, like gradually, but also in like pretty high increments, the prices are too high for anyone to afford, so no one's making money because the average everyday person is only spending the money that they absolutely need to, and still barely scraping by. And so the companies aren't getting as much money, and the people are struggling, and it just feels like no one's doing well. And this is just a symptom of late stage capitalism, in my opinion, which I might also just make a video on because I feel like that's not really a term you just throw out there, but just when companies try to extort all of the profit that they possibly can by trying to see how much they can raise prices while still having customers, and trying to keep their wages as low as possible without losing workers, and like trying to get record profits year over year, and also kind of killing out the I don't know, like ideal, I guess, of like a competitive market where in theory prices would stay low because companies would have to compete with each other, just sort of killing that off by making these crazy mergers and monopolies and all just sort of working together so that all of the prices get raised and no one can do anything about that. There's only so long that that can be sustainable before no one can afford anything. You know what I'm saying? Is like, I feel like this is the way it always had to turn out, and that's what I mean by that, is like in theory, and it worked great for a couple decades where like just those things did those I was gonna say checks and balances. I guess that works, where like these huge mergers were still prevalent and still absolutely happened, but like it was like I just want to say not as like, come on, oh dude, okay, there we go. These like huge mergers were still present, but they weren't as like with. I think I want to make a separate video on how the digitization of everything just kind of ruined everything, because I do like firmly believe that it's just a result of the internet, that like these huge mergers did exist and these huge monopolies did exist, but the mom and pop shops still survived. You know what I'm saying? And with the internet and everything being so like, I don't know, it's so easy to just get something off Amazon instead of even leaving the house to walk past that corner store. It just ruins everything. And so basically, I feel like this was the way it always had to end up, especially with the internet. I can't say I'm surprised that this happened, you know? Like, it does make sense that, like, that would be in the best interest of the companies, is to try to get as much profit as they can, and, you know, the interest of the consumer is to survive. Like, these are not things that come as a surprise to anyone, but, like, these do kind of fundamentally, like, the consumer wants to pay as little as possible for a product, and the company wants to charge as much as possible for a product, and those kind of like fundamentally disagree. And in theory, they're supposed to keep each other in check, but I don't. It just hasn't, because all of the power has gone to the companies. And again, I don't really like getting super political, and it has just sort of turned into a criticism of capitalism, I guess, which is not really how I want to use this platform. I don't want to super state like political beliefs. But like, I don't know. It's just annoying, and it just feels like everything is falling apart, honestly. Because I can't even like say I'm going to put my money in the stock market because it's safe, because I feel like these businesses are just sabotaging themselves with short-term plans that even a teenage girl can see through, you know? Like, I'm smart, but come on, guys. I'm 18 years old. Like, that's not... I feel like there should be a lot of people that are smarter than me, and I don't know. But I just sort of feel like nothing is safe, you know? Like, previously, tech was always the one big thing where it's like, well, they're going to automate the rest of the jobs, but you need someone to program the machines until the machines can program themselves, and then what's left, you know? So I don't know. It's just like I'm like concerned about the future of the economy because I genuinely don't know what to do, and I'm trying to like preemptively. I keep saying that word. I'm just trying to anticipate things that I might run into. Things that like I'm trying to save as much money as I can right now, invest in the stock market as early as I possibly can, and invest as much money as possible as early as I possibly can, while still having enough liquid cash that like if the whole thing falls apart, then like it's a significant blow to my like total net worth, but it's not like it's going to kill me. I'm like just trying to be conscious with the things that I buy and not buy junk and not support, I don't know, I like not support predatory businesses like that is what I was sort of talking about, trying to prioritize spending money on like smaller stores instead of like Amazon or Staples or anything that has like a monopoly or predatory business tactics that I'm aware of. Like I'm trying my best to do that while also, you know, being financially aware and like trying to get things for as cheap as I can, buying things when they're discounted instead of full price type thing. You know, I'm trying my best, and I'm sort of obsessing over trying my best and doing everything right the first time because I feel like I've only got one shot. But I feel like I shouldn't have to be as like extremely concerned about this as I am at my age. Again, I am 18 years old. Like I'm let me just like live and be a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like I guess I'm 18. I'm technically an adult now, but it's like I'm not. I feel like things are just going poorly. Like I feel like I just can't like you can't win. You can't like again, I feel like for the past like 20 years it's been like a pretty easy like go into tech, you'll make money, you know? Like that's like if you go into tech, that's how you make six figures right out of college. That's how you make all the money. That's how you but now it's everything's so extremely scrutinized for profit, and everything's so bad that ouch. Everything's so bad that like I can't that these jobs are just being outsourced because the minimum wage in the United States is $7.25 an hour, which is still extremely low. And it's just the things are just being outsourced to people in different countries, like the one I keep thinking of is India. I don't want to like play into the stereotype of like Indian tech support, but that's not to say it's not happening, because the reason that's happening is to say that like, or it's because give me a minute. I really don't like talking about things like this because I'm terribly concerned about coming off as racist and my digital footprint, but it's not ill motivated towards the people that are being hired. It's just that those people are from the country of India, which has a lower minimum wage, and like when you're paying those people in American dollars, they're going to have like, that's going to be more valuable to someone living in India than an American worker. Like, you would be able to pay a worker in another country the equivalent of $7.25 in US dollars, and that would be a livable wage in their country, but that's not a livable wage in the United States. And so that's why these jobs are being outsourced. I really don't want to make any sort of digs at any of the people from those countries that are working those jobs, but like, ouch, I don't have a job anymore, you know? Like, oh good, yay. Like, because that is just sort of taking my job, you know? Like, I'm dead. Oh well. Can I? Oh, yay. I have a good KDA. I'm just gonna take that surrender if it goes through. I wish I got 0 deaths. 520 isn't bad at all, honestly. Anyway. But it's just that, so tech support has always been a job that's been like, okay, you're set, you know, like that's, or not tech support necessarily, but a job in technology, a job in computer science has always historically, like since computer science has been a thing really, been a job where it's just basically like, okay, you're set. That's the job that makes a lot of money. It makes a lot of money because it's hard. So not everyone can do it, but like, woo, or not woo, like we lost, but I got a good KDA, so that's what matters to me. Anyway, I don't think that was an S game or anything, but Zoe did good. I feel like I kind of abandoned bottom lane there, but whatever. Okay, A, I take that, I guess. I need S games, but whatever. Of course, I'm always going for them, so it's not like I'm gonna, whatever. Anyway. And I win crowd control, so yay. Anyway, but like historically, computer science has been a degree that always outputs a lot of money, but I'm a little bit concerned for the future of that now because of how easy it is to feed these plain text prompts into AI and get code out of it. What's the point of human coders if you can just tell an AI to do it and it'll do it faster than a person ever could, you know? So I'm just a little concerned for that now, because then I feel like no job is really safe. The only jobs that are safe are in the humanities. Like, you're not going to replace a therapist with a robot, although I know BetterHelp is but like, or I mean, that's just a digital thing. I've just heard bad things about it. I'm not, anyway. But like, there are certain things in the humanities that people just want to talk to a person and not a robot. And there are certain very important jobs that you need a person like monitoring that and not a robot. Like a lot of government jobs are safe, but like, I mean, if I could just get a government job right off the bat, I feel like that's always been set, but you need connections and money to get a government job, and also the government is horribly corrupt, and I think everyone can agree on that. So that's not really like, that's all you've got, you know? Which sucks. Everything else, I feel like everything else I feel like there is just a good chance of it getting outsourced. Like any type of journalism or writing is already being replaced by AI. Like not fake articles, but like AI generated articles are already just absolutely everywhere, you know? Like I feel like and also I want to say artists really were always undercompensated for their work. But with the rise of AI art, it's just so much worse. And just like, fast food stuff, I want to say, or like, like it started off with like, just like the menus that you could just like touch to place your orders. You didn't need a cashier. Now I'm hearing about these like fully automated McDonald's where you don't interact with a single person. Like that's just no jobs already. Like the factory workers, those jobs are being replaced by robots, and they have been replaced by robots for a while. But like when you can replace the quality control with robots, which is also happening, and that has been happening for years. This isn't just AI, because watch my AI video, AI isn't really that great, but these things are going to get replaced, and I don't know where the world is going to be in 4 years, and I'm worried about. I feel like I didn't make those points as strongly as I wanted to, but you get the gist. I don't know. Jobs are disappearing, and they always have been. Like, I feel like we're getting less and less jobs, and the jobs that we do have are getting compensated less and less. And it's just like a huge thing now with people not being able to even find work, and that sucks. Because what do you do about that? Like, you can't. Like, people say that they have, even like with working for my part-time job at Staples, that was the 7th place that I applied to in my area. They all said that they were hiring, and then no one got back to me. Like, I have also experienced this in real life, as just a part-time worker. Not even, like, and because also I've heard that part-time work is easier to get. That a lot of companies are just hiring a bunch of part-time people so that they don't have to give out as many benefits as people that are working full-time, because it works out to be very, like, a lot cheaper to just get a bunch of part-time people to staff full-time, or to staff all of the time. And even in trying to find a part-time job, I had trouble. I had to apply to 7 different places, and on the 7th one, which I really didn't even want at that point because it didn't make nearly as much as the rest of them, I finally got an interview. Only one of the other ones gave me an interview or got back to me at all, and that was a company that said, hey, can you work morning shifts on weekdays? And I said, no, I put in my resume that I'm a student, so I can't do that. I need to work outside of school hours. And then they said, we're sorry, we can't hire you. And I said, oh, okay. So I went into the interview, and that was the whole, like, it was a phone interview, but I still, like, I went into a parking lot because I didn't have time to go home from school. I left school immediately to sit in this parking lot, anticipating the call, going over exactly what I was going to say. This is my first job, and I was, like, nervous about it. And the call lasted 5 minutes because they just called to ask, can you work weekday mornings, even though in their, like, application process, first of all, I uploaded my resume where I said I am a student. Second of all, they requested what hours I could work, and I put after school on weekdays or any time on weekends, and they still gave me a call just to say no. Which honestly, after no one else even giving me a call to say no, and everyone else just not responding and not giving any reason why, I do kind of appreciate that they said anything, you know? It just, like... And then, again, on the 7th one, I got an interview, and I did well enough on the interview that I got hired, but, like... I mean, it it's hard even for part-time stuff. It's hard everywhere for everything. Because hiring a person means another expense for the company, and it's apparently, like, I don't know, these companies are really just trying to squeeze out every inch of profit that they can, so they just outsource everything, or just find overqualified candidates to underpay them. Because I haven't been hearing anything about anyone saying, I guess I'm happy in my job isn't really something that would, trend or get pushed anywhere. But I feel like I would still hear some sort of response of, I know that everyone's saying the job market is bad, but here's my experience and it hasn't been that bad. I feel like I would at least see, one comment or, one video, and I haven't even seen one person trying to refute this, because it seems to be every individual person's experience. And it just, again, I feel just kind of helpless about it, because I'm trying to do everything that I can to set myself up for a good future, to set myself up to be able to get a house, because that's my goal. But I can't do that if I'm not even sure if I'm going to have a job. And I'm not even sure if investing in the stock market would work, because these businesses just feel like they're sabotaging themselves. And that I think that everyone can agree that the candidates for president are just both extremely incompetent. And I have to vote in this election, and I really just don't want to, because I really, really don't like either candidate. And I'm going to vote regardless, but I can't, it feels like everything is just falling apart, and I don't know what to do, because I've always been one to plan ahead, and I've always been one to optimize everything and make sure I have a plan and make sure that everything is going to work, and I'll have money left over type thing. I've always been very careful when it comes to that kind of stuff, and yeah, I'm doing fine right now in my part-time job where I have no real expenses and I live at my parents' house. But once I even just graduate college and have student loan debt, that's something I have to repay every month. As soon as I move out, rent is astronomical, and it's just really hard to I don't even know what to I don't even know how to prepare for something like that, because it just feels so I don't, okay, it just feels so I don't even want to say dystopian, just I don't know what to do with that. I feel just helpless, and I'm trying to really I research and figure out exactly what I'm surrender at 10 minutes. I feel like I might go in for where am I, 39 minutes? Yeah, I need another video. I'm not hitting an hour. These are, well, I mean, I guess my first game was fine, just not with a great team. So this one just wasn't great. These aren't great games. Sure, dude. I don't care. B-, yes. They at least get, no, I suck. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna play a third game. I know my rule has been 2 games, but I can't, this is 40 minutes, not even. I can't yap for 20. Anyway. I just like I'm one that always has to over prepare for everything, and I'm one that likes to anticipate my future and think about that a lot. And I don't know what to do because I feel like I just like it just feels like everything is going downhill. Like not only am I going to get a job question mark. I don't know because the thing is like in theory the fact that all jobs are getting replaced by machines and so many jobs are becoming obsolete would be great because if there was a universal basic income or like the fact that machines are doing all of our work could just mean that no one had to work, that'd be great. But we all know that's not going to happen. So I'm stressed. And it's like I want to save money right now and say, okay, I'm going to work for like as much as I possibly can right now while I do have a job so that when I have to quit the job when I go to college, I'll have some savings. And that's what I'm doing. But like all of the money that I make right now is just going to be negated by student loan debt. Like it's so like crushing and defeating that like I'm going to have to get a big real job that I don't even know if that's going to exist in 4 years when I'm entering the like professional 9 to 5 workforce and I'm no longer in school. And like I don't know if these jobs are still going to exist for me by the time I'm out of school, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to make enough money to like survive. And I don't and I can't even supplement that with something safe like the stock market because I feel like the stock market isn't safe because I feel like businesses are just sabotaging themselves and I feel like we're heading towards another recession. I feel like we have been in a recession for like several years, and just no one's acknowledging it, because they acknowledged 2020 because they had an excuse about it, but like they're not acknowledging that the past few years haven't really gotten better and inflation's just gotten worse. And like I don't know what to do about it. I'm one that always has to think up a plan of this isn't good, but here's what I'm going to do about it. Here's how I'm going to not fix it, but here's how I'm going to work around it. Like I'm going to I don't just like okay, the economy is bad, so I'm going to like in theory invest in the stock market because if I invest in the stock market, then even if the businesses prioritize themselves over me, I'm still going to be able to have money. I'm still going to get some money from that. Like, I don't know, in theory, again, like, okay, the economy is doing kind of rough right now. I'm going to major in a subject like computer science where I know that there's a future in the subject and I know that it's going to pay a lot of money, so I won't have to worry about it as much. But this just isn't something that, like, is a guaranteed anymore. Nothing's a guaranteed, so I can't really plan in advance for anything, and that's not something that I'm used to. And again, even just the fact that I'm so stressed about the future, like, I was talking to my mom the other day, who was, oh, I've been killing too many minions, who was, like, yeah, you know, a Gen Xer, like, grew up in the 80s, or, like, you know, teenager in the 80s type thing, and she was like, we never really, like, thought about that kind of stuff. We always knew that there would be some kind of job pushing papers around that, like, it's not, like, it wasn't on our minds that we could potentially even be out a job. It wasn't on our minds at all that we wouldn't be able to afford a house. This was just like a default fact of life that you graduate, you go to college, maybe you get a job, and then you get a house, and that's just the way that things work. You know, like it was something that wasn't even questioned because it was so universal. Like every person that went to college was able to afford a house, all of them. And I'm sure there were some exceptions, but not exceptions notable enough to, like, have made my mom ever think about it. It was always just, that's what happens. If you go to college, you get a house. And the economy has gotten to a point where that's absolutely not a guaranteed anymore. You've got so many millennials that went to college and are now in their, like, late 20s, early 30s, even, like, mid to late 30s now. I guess that's hardly even, that's, like, people are getting older. I don't know. I'm, like, a middle of the road Gen Z, and it's still hard to accept the fact that I'm 18, you know? But, like, you think of these millennials that are, like, I get 30 to 40, and still not owning a house, and, like, something is wrong, you know? Like, it just, something is very wrong that, like, these people have, the economy is not good. It has been shown by the millennials that, like, the economy has not been good at all since the 2008 financial crisis. And here's the thing, I was 3. I didn't, like, that's not something that I was aware of happening, and that's not something that I was really conscious before to see the switch. But looking at historical data, it's the 2008 financial crisis and after is where things really, like, just started to really, really go downhill. And the 2008 financial crisis centered around housing. And since then, it's been hard to get housing. And it was sort of a weird, like, deflationary thing with housing. But, like, and if you think about it, like, when I think of millennials, it's like 90s kids, right? Well, if you were born in 1990, you were 18 in 2008, you know? Like, this is, like, millennials entered the workforce at a bad time, and so they never made enough money to, like, get a house. And I mean, yes, some of them did. And, like, yeah, like, by this point, like, a good few of them, a lot of them did. I don't know the number. I don't know if I want to say, like, most. I don't want to say most because I don't know where the number is. But, like, there are a lot of millennials with houses, but there are a lot of millennials without houses, and that's the problem. There are a lot of millennials that are still living with their parents in their 30s, and it's not of any, like, financial irresponsibility. It's just that the cost of living is so bad that it's hard not to do that. And that things have only gotten worse since then. So me, who is entering the, like, I don't know, big workforce in 2028, that's just, like, hard to, like, I'm having a hard time, like, I can't even put it into words that, like, I'm afraid, and I shouldn't be afraid at my age about the economy. I'm supposed to still be optimistic. I'm supposed to feel like I can be anything. This is, like, I live in America. I'm assuming, you know, the American dream. Like, I should be, like, I should have more faith in the system than I do. And part of that is just being a Gen Z, right? That's, like, just the internet and things constantly, like, it's constantly shown to me how bad things are, so of course I'm going to be more aware of it. And I know it's not just me, but, like, I mean, things are bad, and I'm a smart person, at least for my age, and I know that, but, like, I can't think of anything to fix it. Well, I mean, I can think of some social reforms, but I feel like there's a root cause that needs to be addressed and a system that needs to be overhauled, and that's not going to happen. And so working within the confines of the system, it's just getting hard to, like, plan out a future and be optimistic about it. And that sucks, being 18 and going to college and saying, like, I'm gonna go out in the world and I'm gonna figure out who I am and I'm gonna, get to be everything that I want to be. Like, I wish I had that, like, I don't even know like how to describe it. I guess it's just like, when you go into college, you're supposed to be like, this is what I'm passionate about. I want to, be something in the world. I want to, like, make my mark. This is going to be my, like, I don't know, you're like planning out your future, and I am, but my future is, how do I survive and get to a point in life where I'm like, have a house and I'm comfortable, hopefully. Like, it feels like I should have the mindset of, I'm going to thrive, and instead I have the mindset of, I'm going to survive, or even it's going to be hard for me to survive, like, I feel like I'm a very realistic person, and I always have been. That, like, if something is not good, I'm going to say it's not good, and I'm not going to pretend that it's good if I know that it's not, or, like, that things are heading in a negative direction, stuff like that. But, like, I just don't even, like, this is such a bad situation to be in, that, like, I'm obsessively watching these videos on how to budget and how to basically just make money out of thin air, because I'm so aware that I'm not going to have any money. Like, we're in a failing system right now, and it's really hard to be, like, to act like I'm, like, I'm going to college and I'm going to major in something that I like a lot, and I'm going to hope that I make money in the future, but it doesn't feel like I'm as optimistic as a 20-something that I'm supposed to be, I'm not a 20-something yet, but in theory, it's supposed to be, I'm excited about life, At this stage in my life, I'm supposed to be excited. It's just getting started. I'm gonna make my mark on the world. I'm gonna figure out, like, I already have some inklings of what I'm good at, and I'm gonna major in something that's, I'm gonna make a difference in the world. I'm gonna be a billionaire. I'm gonna, like, it's like, these are supposed to be the thoughts that I'm having right now, is how do I, like, be ultra rich and successful, not just how do I survive. And the fact that my head's, like, the fact that my head is at just, like, how am I going to survive? How am I going to afford the cost of living in this current economy? That feels, like, bad. That feels like a really bad sign that the, like, emerging adults of this generation, the, like, people that are going to be entering the workforce are like, I don't feel like there is a future in this country, and I'm just sort of waiting for everything to properly fail. I'm waiting for everything to fail hard enough that, like, a reform and genuine change is, like, truly necessary. Because for right now, because also just the wealth gap between generations is really bad, because a lot of it is, like, I mean, if you have been working for a long time before 2008, like, if you had been working before 2008, you had a lot more money proportionally, or, like, yeah, you just had a lot more money, period. I don't know what I meant by proportionally. Like, man, whatever. But if you were working before 2008, you made more money than if you were working after 2008. So people that are, like, the older you are, the more like the more money that you have. Like, I mean, that's just sort of how it works, because the economy has been bad since a certain point, that if you were working before that certain point, you're going to have more money than if you started working after that certain point. But the thing is that all of the people in power, because to be in power, you need to have money. And all of the people in power have money, because those are like necessarily like inverses of each other. So that means that no younger people are really in power right now, and that all of the older people in power are kind of out of touch with what the younger generation is going through, because they didn't have to experience it, or didn't have to experience it as much, or they'd already built up like some savings before things got really bad, you know? Like, it... There's a disconnect, because when you're not actively experiencing it, you don't... Like, you think that people are just mismanaging their money, because when you were working, it wasn't like that, and you extrapolate that it's just continued being the way that it was, which is just not true. I don't know. I just keep thinking about the statistic that like something like 50% of Americans can't afford a $500 emergency. And that's just like absurd to me, that that's just like that's true and no one sees a problem. That 50% of Americans don't have $500. Like, and I mean, before I started working, I always thought of $500 as a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, but when I see how much money that I make at my part-time job, $500 isn't like that. You should be able to save up $500, and yeah, some of it is people mismanaging their money, but if 50% of the people are mismanaging their money, there's either something really wrong with your education system, which there is. I can't get any kills. There's either something really wrong with your education system, which there is, or there's something wrong with the economy, which there is, or both. And like, I'm just like, I feel like I'm kind of helpless, because I'm trying to educate myself, but I can't fix the economy. Like, I can't make the... Yes, finally! Like, I can't fix the economy myself. I'm 18 years old. I'm going to be just entering the workforce. And I'm trying to set myself up to be as best as... Or to be, like... I don't know. For things to be as easy for me as possible. If I can, like, sort of front load the, like, I'm going to study for, a subject that I know will make me a lot of money throughout my entire life, but it's getting to a point where I'm like, okay, well, is this subject even going to, like, make money long term? And if it does, is, like, is this economy, like, is this way of going about things going to last that long? Like, not just until 2028. I do believe that, like, you know, I don't think that things are going to super fundamentally change in the next 4 years. I feel like that does kind of feel a bit quick. But like, how long is this economic system going to stay around when no one can afford to do absolutely anything? You know? Like, with the wage gaps being this bad, like, you've got to just, like, thank you. With the wage gap being this bad, you need to completely overhaul the system. And then if you completely overhaul a system, I have no idea what that's going to look like. No one does. We're crushing them. Okay, awesome. I was like, this is too easy. Yeah, we're double their kills. Nice. I don't know. I just like I don't know how to prepare for anything. I don't know how to like I don't even know. Like I want to prepare for something. I want to like okay. I want to prepare. I want to say I'm aware of this issue years and years in advance, and I'm going to do something to like I don't know. Like I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to like make it easier for myself. I'm going to I don't know, figure out some loophole, some cheat code, something to like I want to like I want to figure out some trick or something because the economy that like oh everyone's dead. LOL. But like I want to figure out something that like like the economy is so bad that I feel like I need a loophole. I feel like there's something that other people aren't seeing. I feel like there's got to just be something. And the answer is just having like rich parents or nepotism to get into a job, but like I can't live with that fact. I need to at least pretend that it's not true, because if I don't pretend it's not true, I'm going to go insane. You know? Like I need to have some kind of hope because like oops. Like I need to have some kind of hope, and it's really hard to have some kind of hope, but like when you are entering college, when you're saying I'm going to spend so many thousands of dollars to get an education, you need to at least pretend that that education is going to do anything. You need to at least pretend that there's an economy worth investing in, you know? And again, it's getting harder and harder to get to that point, but like or it's getting harder and harder to pretend that that's true, but like I need to. I won't, like I'm going to go insane if I don't. And that's I don't think I'm the only person that feels this way. At least I sure hope I'm not, because it's very clear that this is happening everywhere all of the time. Everyone was great, honestly. Folly Bear. Nice. And yay! That's been something that I've been wanting to upgrade. Awesome. That's one of my display ones. Yay. Awesome game. Anyway, and I need to like find my enjoyment in little things like this, and in just like speaking and doing like I just need to like find something to distract myself over and over, because if I don't, then like I'm gonna explode. Like this is this is just like I don't even like know what to do with it, I guess. Like hold on, I'm gonna move these around because now I got some pretty things I want to change. So that was put that there, that there. But I just like I feel like there's like no I feel like I've got nothing, and it's a really crushing feeling. It's a really terrible feeling. And I know I'm like hanging out and having fun while talking about this. It's just something that I need to express, because I know I'm not the only person that feels this way. It's a very like it's so I don't know what to do with it. it's like I'm like laughing while I say it, because how else do you respond to like the economy is crumbling right when I'm entering it? How do I respond to like the entire society that I live on is built around the American dream and that no longer exists? You know, like I don't. What do I do with that? What do I go to work tomorrow? Yes, I go to work tomorrow. And I like sort of lose my mind when I'm at work tomorrow. Um because I see that the prices are 20% higher than they were last month, and I I haven't gotten any pay increase, and I can't afford anything in that store, and my coworkers take the bus to work because they can't afford a car, because this wage that we're being given is not livable. And I invest in the stock market, but my portfolio goes down 5% in a day because the stock market's unstable, because businesses don't know how to actually run themselves, because they're basing everything on short-term profit instead of long-term profit. What do you do about that? What do you do about that? What do you do when you're 18 years old and you don't have any prior experience, and you have savings, but not a lot of savings, because you've only been saving for a year and a little bit because you're 18 years old and you couldn't really get a job before you did. And it feels like everything is crumbling around you. What do you do? What do you do? Because I don't know, and I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm just sort of shouting into the void right now, for all of one person to listen to. And it had a slow start, so not very many people are going to... No one is going to watch this until the end, because no one cares. But I need to document it somewhere, because I feel like I'm going insane. I feel like I'm crazy. Because this is happening to everyone, but no change is being made, and you wonder why all of Gen Z has a mental health crisis. Like, we wonder why the mental health crisis is happening. And there's a million and one reasons, but part of it is just because we don't see a future. And what do you do when you don't see a future? I might make a video on that, like, next. I want to keep talking. But, like, everything just feels like a vicious cycle going into an inevitable, like, black hole. I don't... What do you do about that? You can't do anything about that unless you're in a position of power. But if you're in a position of power, you're 60 and already, like... You already have like millions of dollars because you've worked in the government for 20 years, because no one new has entered the government in 20 years, because no one's had money in 20 years. So, and like, that's not 100% true, and there are some people that have, like, some younger people that have entered the government, but like, the overwhelming majority of people have just been there for their entire lives, and they're just completely disconnected from the everyday worker. What do you do about that? The answer is you can't do anything about that. And that feels really bad. Because it's so clear how everything is going wrong to someone who is working and someone who actually needs to worry about this all of the time. But for people who aren't, for people who are 60 and on the verge of retiring, or, 81 and running for president, you're so far removed from these issues that they're not on your mind as much. The economy is dictated by the numbers of the stock market, which even those are still going up, but it feels like it's not sustainable based on these business practices. So, like, even by traditional metrics, I feel like soon enough the economy won't be doing well. And then what do I do when I have been feeling this way for years? Even before I got my first job, I felt like the economy was doing really poorly. What do? You pursue higher education because that's the only thing that you can think to do. I mean, if I don't pursue higher education, that's just a death sentence. That's just an I will never make any money for the rest of my life. But you pursue higher education, then you get yourself in a mound of debt, and then you can never repay it because you never actually get paid. at least they pretend that you'll eventually get paid if you pursue higher education. Like, I don't know what to do. You invest in the stock market, but then the businesses drain all of the consumers of all of their funds, and then everyone loses. You invest in a rental property, you need to, like, I mean, that's like the answer. If you have money, you invest in a rental property and just exploit the younger people that can never own a house. But guess what? You need to own a property to own a rental property. So I can't do that either. That's the, like, catch-all, win-all solution, is to own a rental property, but I can't do that. So there isn't any. I invent a new product and put it where? On the internet for no one to see? For, like, you need to be a big corporation to invent a product nowadays. You can't just be an everyday person unless you have like $1 million. You need to have money in the first place. I don't have money in the first place. I have some money because I have a part-time job and I live under my parents, but not nearly enough. I don't... What do you do? What do you do? What do you do in that situation? What should I do in that situation? Let me know. Because I don't know. No one knows. Anyways. I feel like I've yapped for long enough. I played 3 games and it's still just barely totaled an hour, so I had to just keep... And I'm probably going to record a manned rambles about the economy again, because I have a lot to say about the economy. It's just that it just kind of feels doomed, and I don't know what to do about it. What do you do about it? Like, yeah, I can't do anything about it. I just have to live like this. Sucks. Anyway, I'm gonna call it for this video. I think I've said enough, and I'm probably gonna record another video after this, because even though it's 10:56 p.m., I'm still not really tired, and I still feel like I have more to say, but I don't want to play a 4th game on this. I think I'm just gonna leave it to another day, because I know if I make a part 3, I'm just gonna pick up where I left off here, and I don't really want to do that. I don't want any of these videos to be completely dependent on any others. Anyway, I'm probably gonna make another video tonight, or maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll take a 5-minute break and figure it out. What do you do? Become a YouTuber? Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below what you would do if you were an 18-year-old girl in this current economy. Okay, see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.